Mwabugabo Tino Bantu in Zambia, that's like a Tonga language, meaning good morning or good afternoon. My name is Buumba Malambo, councillor for Magoba Ward, of course housing almost 16,000 people, which I'm really proud of. And I'm the founder of Buumba Malambo Foundation that I've been running from the time I was in second year. That was at the University of Zambia, and I've been running it for the past 5 years. What inspired me to start the foundation are the 4 girls. These 4 girls would come to check on me because I came here to this ward, Magoba Ward, as a social work student. Because when you're at the University of Zambia, they bring you as a social work student to do attachments, to learn about the rural people and how you can handle people that are in poverty, people with disabilities, but in a rural setup. So they kind of brought me here with 4 other university students. And there were these 4 girls that would come every day to my room looking for me, calling my name every night, and I just fell in love with these kids. And so when I went back to the University of Zambia, I felt really bad. I wasn't myself. I was traumatized because obviously I'm at the University of Zambia and I'm having the best education. I'm looking out after myself and I'm looking out for a bright future. And these girls were still back in that village, and I was so scared because already I had an experience with other students where we saw this 13-year-old girl giving birth, you know. And I said to myself, like, I can't sleep. I need to do something. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I got my bursary money and I started with 1 child. So I'd do the uniform, I'd do the clothes. Then, because there are 4 best friends, so I thought, how can I do this? Then I started incorporating people, and that's how the charity grew. So this sponsorship program, the Mwana Punzile sponsorship program, like I said, it was born out of the passion that I had for these 4 girls. And I wanted people, because I was just a student and I was just using my bursary money. Then the second child was sponsored by my parents. Then I thought, this is really cool. Then I started now bringing in people, volunteers and people that can work with me permanently. And then one day I just woke up, I'm like, we need to start a sponsorship program. Maybe we should call it Mwana Punzile sponsorship program. Then everybody was like, that sounds okay. And we wrote it down, we did the project, proposals, and people just started going in for these kids. And so it was 1 child, then it was 5 children, then it was 6 children, then it was 7 children. So we go in the deep villages. We don't just pick any random child. We look for quality. We look for gifted children in creative ideas, children that can sing, children that are talented intellectually. We look for such, especially the girl child, because obviously as we are evolving as a generation, we need to make sure that we empower the girl child. So we would walk kilometers. We would walk kilometers to the nearest school, and you know, that passion of walking and showing the people that this is what I do for my people. And so it just brought a lot of people. So for a child to qualify for this program, they have to be vulnerable. We have kids that were born with HIV, and we have to kind of like put them on a proper diet and make sure they're getting the medication. We follow the process. So a sponsor will send £20 or 200 kwacha in the Zambian currency for that child that they choose. And then we know how we maneuver around as a group, and we make sure that this child is having access to food. We are checking the water if it has chlorine. We partner with clinics. We also partner with clinics in terms of mosquito nets. We make sure the child is living almost, all the basic needs are almost met. So health-wise, and we take them to the clinic. If the child is sick, it's on us as a charity. That's if the child is on the program. So any child qualifies on this program as long as the parents or the guardians are willing to make sure that the sponsorship that is coming through goes to the right channels, in terms of the child reading at night, having access to read in the night, also the child not being stressed mentally, physically. We make sure that we put those guidelines for the parents. So when they sign the agreement and they're all right, it's fine. Yeah, so any child really qualifies. Because my people are fishermen, so they would go and abandon their children. They would go for years and leave their children. We have kids that are living with 14-year-olds. You know, it's very emotional. And you find they sleep in the damp place because they're all kids and nobody is looking after them, because obviously everyone is poor, and then they can't manage to look after somebody's kids. So we have kids that are living in child-headed households, a lot of them. And some are girls, and then they see their sisters doing prostitution and they think that's normal. And that's what I'm trying to cut using the charity. So these kids in child-headed households also, they have their own special program under the Mwana Puzile sponsorship program. So we try to incorporate them. When we see they're really young, we bring in the community, then we are supporting that house so that they can support and have a roof over our kids. That's what we've been doing. You know, Zambia is not just the urban, and the people are not just in the urban. We have people in the rural areas, and the majority of people are in the rural areas. And these people, they are not just our voters or the people that put us in these big positions. Like, for example, like I was saying, I came here just as a university student. I wasn't born here, they don't know much about me, but they liked the idea of me incorporating their kids going to school, and then they voted for me and they've put me on this big seat as a councillor at my age, you know, and I'm female. It was hard, but they supported me. So these rural people, they think, and they are talented. We have kids, you know, we have kids that get very good grades, better than those in the urban. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for those kind of human beings in the villages, because we know even from a thatched house, somebody can be the president. Even from a thatched house, somebody can be a minister. The world is open, really, and it's open to everybody, including the people in the villages. And for me, really, I don't do much with the urban children. I focus on the rural kids because I feel they struggle with trying to show their talent and their gift to the world. We have kids that study in the night in a kendo. One was almost burnt, you know, and he's a genius. But he's here in a thatched house studying with smoke, you know, his uniform smells of smoke every day. People are laughing at him, but he's getting good grades. And these are the people we're looking for, because Zambia is not just urban, it's also the rural people. And we're going to lift them. We're going to lift them, and that's what I'm working at with my people here. So when we say sponsors, we mean any kind of sponsor. We have young people as the youngest is actually in the 20s, like 23, and she's sponsoring a child, and she's also just a student. And we have older people, we have couples, we have families, we have single parents, we have one single mom who's sponsoring 6 kids. She's very consistent. She's Zambian, by the way. She's very consistent in sponsoring these kids, and she makes sure she comes here to check on them, brings food and everything. So really, this sponsorship program is for everybody. That's why we're having like a lot of sponsors coming in, because it's a simple program. The sponsor just sends a 200 kwacha or 20 pounds, then we put this child in school. If they've already not done trials, we do the trials for the child, then we take them to the school. Then we're doing their uniforms, we're doing their school, because we believe in dignity as well. The child needs to feel dignified, they need to feel part of the society, and that comes with physical transformation. So we transform their physical by uniforms and shoes, and they are ready to go to school because they want to show off their uniform. In that, we are taking them to school. And we also look at transforming their mindsets. And that's why the sponsors are coming in, because they believe in our project and they believe in what we're doing. So it's anybody who believes in changing the life of the next person and transforming the life of a child and showing them that actually education removes the black cloth of ignorance from your face, and it gives you the light of a bright future. That's what education does. It opens your eyes to a new generation and to a new world. And that's what we're doing with these kids, to show them. Sometimes we take them in a bus and we take them to town and we show them, see the buildings. When you're educated, you can work in there. You can actually, we show them pictures of the State House, White House, people in jackets, people that are doing medicine. And because they're limited here, the only thing they know is I have to be a fisherman. Like I have to be, maybe when I grow, like I just have to be in the bar, dance a little bit, somebody gets me and I'm getting money, and like I become a prostitute. They are limited, but we're opening up their minds. And when a person believes in that, they get to be a sponsor. And that's why we have young people, we have the middle, we have engaged people, we have people with disabilities, we have everybody. Everybody's just coming in and sponsoring these kids. When I started the charity, the first year I got my first award, I was so excited. Then the awards just kept coming, which feels normal, but like still every time I get it, I still feel excited. So as at now, I have 16 awards. 14 of them are international, then the rest are Zambian awards. Recently, I just got the Community Development Award for the Zambia Women of the Year Awards. So people recognize my efforts, and they feel that I should get these awards. And when the awards come, some come with money, some just come with recognition. Like for the Women for Africa award that I got, I was the youngest person ever to get that award in Africa, and it was huge here in the country, and we're inspiring these little girls that are on internet or the parents show them. So I feel like really when I started the charity, it wasn't about recognition. I didn't know really that people would recognize philanthropy. I didn't have that idea. Mine was to transform that child that I left here in the village, because I was getting the best education. Then people said, wow, how can a young person at 19 sponsoring kids? She must be a genius, or she must have something inborn. Then I thought, well, if it's inborn, then probably that's God's direction. Then I went with it. So even when I graduated, I never worked. I've never worked for anybody. I've just gone with the charity. And the charity landed me into being a counselor. And obviously into something bigger that I'm seeing ahead. So it's been kids all around. Even when I won as counselor, it has always been kids, really. That's my passion. Yeah. Challenges are there. Number one, because when you're female, they'll tell you this is a man's world and funding is difficult for women to find, which is true, by the way. So it's been difficult to find funding, international big funding that can maybe like put up a big school for my kids, and they are there, they are learning. Some kids walk kilometers. You can't imagine, you know, like even when you're driving, you'd get tired. And I get depressed, and it's very emotional for me. Some are raped on the way, so like the parents would say, you're not going to school because you're gonna be raped. Recently, some kids were chased by, you know, people who kill people in the bush and all that. So it's I'm sorry I'm getting emotional, but like I feel bad, you know, like there's so much resources and we're not doing so much for these vulnerable people that probably, like, I was just born in the village. Like I didn't say I want to be born in a poor family, you know. So I work around that kind of imagination that what about if it was me who was born in a thatched house and my legs are cracked and nobody comes to my rescue? Okay, so when we talk about the government, because already I'm a councillor, so I'm talking also from the government perspective. When we talk about the government, that's why they are non-profit, and also there's like the government. We meet halfway. My charity provides basic things like pencils and things that the government wouldn't come here and start giving out pencils. But we know that the government would do the classrooms. And when the government does the classrooms, a lot of my kids will have access to being in a classroom. And when the government brings in the desks, my kids will sit there and they'll have dignity. Then I'll come in with the mental capacity to inspire them, to show them inspiration, to have sessions with them. Like I said, we have kids that are raped, and we have to have sessions with those kids because they are traumatized. That's how I come in. I don't expect the government to come in and start teaching the kids how to do this and how to maneuver around as a human being. They will teach them math, but then I come in as a charity to do such things. So we do the pencils, we do the uniforms, we renew the uniforms every term. If the child says, my uniform is short, we renew that. If the shoes are torn, we also renew that. I don't expect the government, obviously, to come in and bring the shoes, but I expect them to do the big things like infrastructure, stuff that I wouldn't do probably as a charity. Put up proper toilets for our children, sanitation, put up power lines. Already we have power lines in Magoba. For the first time in history, they are going to have power. That's courtesy of my office as a councillor and also as SEBO as a company. So we have, this year we have different programs lined up. We have Buumba's Grand Kiddies, because when I talk to sponsors, some sponsors would say, I just want to sponsor a child who's staying with the grandparents. So I want to separate that so that my auditing is all right and the accounting is in good books. So we are going to launch the Buumba's Grand Kiddies project, where a sponsor can pick a child that's from a grandparent headed house. Yes, and then we have projects that involve women going to school, because we know that if you empower a woman and she knows how to read, she will extend it subconsciously or consciously to the child. And that's my thinking, and that's what I'm working on. So my women will be going for night school, they'll be learning in the night. I've already started putting this together. Then we have young people, also they want to be doing certain skills like carpentry, because a lot of them have dropped out of school through lack of support. So we just want to empower them with skills. Then obviously the charity will be doing a lot of, we want to open a company where the young people can do bricks and sell them and just make a living so that they can feed their families and just have those 3 meals that a person needs as basic right. Well, firstly, I'll speak to the young people. Young people ask me, Buumba, how do you do this? Like, I'm failing. I tell them, you need to have an instinct for growth. And you need to believe in yourself. You need to believe in your capacity to achieve where others have not as a young person. And also for the women that are still struggling, like we're not going to school, believe in yourself as a woman. That's your gift from God, being a woman. You can maneuver around a lot of things. And to the people watching out there, thank you so much to the sponsors for sponsoring these. You are changing lives here. And if you haven't sponsored a child yet, please check on our website. You can check on Facebook. My name is Buumba Malambo on Facebook. You can check on Twitter. Just Google us, then you'll find us there. And obviously, come on board and sponsor a child. You are going to make a difference.